Hi there, and greetings from a tiny little shrine at a temple here in the desert of Rajasthan, India, in western India. At the end of this video, then I will grab the camera and I will step outside here and show what is an absolutely spectacular scene of the desert landscape and the little town of Jaisalmer with a spectacular fort behind it, which is where I'm staying at a guest house. But in this video, then I wanted to discuss the divide between masculine and feminine, men and women, to the best of my ability here. Certainly a complex, difficult, challenging, multifaceted topic that is not an easy one to figure out, but it is definitely one of the most important topics out there. The split between masculine and feminine, and the frustration and difficulty and challenges and pain and heartbreak and all of the stuff that comes about as a result of the inability to oftentimes connect between men and women. So it is my contention that men and women are quite different. There are some who say, well, we're all pretty much the same and we shouldn't be creating this divide of feminine energies and masculine energies, but as I see it, there really is a distinct difference. It is so fundamental to the nature of our universe that it is represented in many different ways. A magnet is a representation of masculine and feminine. You have the masculine polarity, which is projecting outwards, and the feminine polarity, which is drawing inwards. You get masculine, feminine, positive, and negative, put them together, and it's like, boom, that's oneness. They stick together like that. They want to be together, that positive and negative polarity. But there are very big differences of energy, and as men and women, very different experiences of the masculine and feminine perspective. And so the big question is, how do you get them to come together like that and stick and stay and find that genuine balance between each other in which both are happy, in which it's working for everybody. And my understanding of the basic fundamental difference between men and women, masculine and feminine, is that the feminine polarity represents the subjective experience that women are the ones who undergo childbirth. Feminine energy is more emotional, which is kind of more intense, more raw, more real. The feminine perspective tends to be one of a greater interest in the personal and making strong connections with people and feelings and intuition, whereas the masculine is the more objective overview of experience. So men tend to be more emotionally removed and reserved, more interested in the outer world, going out into the world, figuring things out, how to build a building, how to fix a car, science, putting a man on the moon, these more outward projected ventures. And so basically the feminine is seeking to connect with the masculine, and certainly the masculine is seeking to connect with the feminine as well. But I think that there is a difference in terms of the strength of desire to make a very deep connection. I think that in general, men are more okay with being alone. And maybe I'm wrong about that, but I think there's more of a deep desire on the part of women to make that strong love connection with men, and obviously men do as well, but that men can be more okay with being on their own, going off adventuring, pursuing their career, and they don't feel the disconnect between masculine and feminine in the same way that the feminine does, because the feminine is feeling embodied. The feminine element is emotion and feeling. And so the feminine tends to feel that distance, that space, that disconnect between masculine and feminine more than the masculine does. And so the basic desire of the feminine is one of seeking to draw the masculine into experience. And I made a distinction that the masculine is light and the feminine is love. And the feminine love seeks to draw the light into her. And the masculine light penetrates the feminine love and is embraced by her. And so the feminine is seeking to draw the light into her. And this is an absolutely correct impulse, because this is bringing together masculine and feminine back into oneness. But I think there's a greater resistance on the part of men to make that connection in a really deep and real way with the feminine, because the masculine is unfamiliar with that feminine realm of feelings and emotion and intuition and spontaneous, creative, flowing, unpredictable energy, which is the basic nature of the feminine. The feminine energy is very ever-changing. Just think of just the moods of women, and obviously for us men it can be hard to make sense of and figure out. But this is the basic nature of the feminine and of women, and the solution is not to stop this, to tamp this ever-changing energy of the feminine down and to repress it, which has been the masculine way of dealing with it for thousands of years, but instead is for the masculine to come into alignment with that ever-changing, spontaneous, expressive feminine energy. Enter it, come into alignment and balance with it and move with it and be connected with it. And so this is really the ultimate solution in the divide between masculine and feminine, men and women, is for men to enter the realm of the feminine, basically, and be there, stay present with it, despite it being a unfamiliar, mysterious realm to them, to men, and for men to come to greater awareness of what comes up within them when connecting with women, and to work through that. So basically what happens oftentimes in relationships is that the women are nagging the men to be more present. I want you to notice me more. I want you to be listening more. I want us to communicate more. Can we talk about, how are you feeling? And can we talk about what happened today and what you said, because I didn't understand it and it kind of came across as disrespectful or insulting. And so women want to be like working through this stuff and on a path of being in a regular back and forth exchange with men, of communicating and in the process getting closer. And this is something that the vast majority of men, I think it's safe to say, are not that interested in. They just want to have a fun time, deal with the fun stuff and the good stuff and the good sex and and the good feelings, and don't really want to deal with all this weird, murky, emotional, dark, kind of scary, weird stuff that for some reason women think that is any of our business. And think that it's just kind of the women's world, the women's stuff. She has to deal with her emotional problems, and that's her business. And this is the typical masculine stance, and this stance perpetuates the divide between masculine and feminine, because women are seeking to draw men into experience more, because women represent the subjective experience, and but they want that light of the masculine, that attention of the masculine, and to be inspired by men, and they want to make that connection. So in my view, really just kind of the nitty-gritty ultimate thing that needs to happen here is that men need to face their inner stuff more, especially in relation to women, and notice when, if you're in a relationship, things start to feel like they're getting too deep and too dark and too murky, and the basic impulse of the masculine is then just to get out of there because it's just too weird, and they don't know how to deal with it. But instead, what is needed is for men to be present with what they are feeling, with what they're feeling. That's what it comes down to. And in the being more present with what men feel in response to what women bring up in them, what's happening is they're connecting to their own feminine element, their own feeling nature, and that's exactly where men need to go in order to help to bridge this divide, is into that dark, murky, dank, weird stuff within them that men so often just want to get away from, but instead to be present with it and recognize it and be willing to work through it. And in the process, what happens is that you get in touch with an aspect of yourself that exists beneath those dark and difficult feelings and emotions. And that aspect of the self isn't itself dark and murky. It's just that men have been so disconnected from it for so long that they don't know what it is. They're unfamiliar with it. And so they don't understand that basically this difficult stuff that comes up is basically a dark tunnel that they need to go through in order to get to a place of greater light on the other side. And that place of greater light is that you get more connected with basically your own love potential within yourself. You bring that into your own conscious awareness more, and that's exactly what needs to happen for men to be able to connect with women more, is when men are more connected with their feeling nature, with their feminine side, as it were, with their own potential for love within, then they can make that connection with the feminine without, because it's the same thing. It's women are the feminine embodied, but men have a feminine potential within them as well. Men really need to recognize that feeling presence within themselves and be willing to allow it to come forth more. And so the last thing that I'll say here is just that, yes, it is not just all men's fault. Women have their stuff to deal with as well, of course. Women need to figure out how to balance with their masculine side more. There's been, pain caused on both sides and imbalance on both sides, deception and manipulation and all kinds of bad stuff. But it's my contention that overall, women are more ready and willing and able to come from that place, that deeper place, within in order to make a deeper and more real connection with men, and are more willing to face their inner stuff and do the necessary inner work in order to make this connection happen, whereas men are more often resistant to it and unfamiliar with it and just have no idea what women want and what they're talking about in this realm. And so it's really necessary for men to come to greater awareness of this dynamic and this reality and be willing to be present. To be present, that's really what women want, as I understand it, to a great extent, is for men just to genuinely be there, present in all the various aspects of their being, not just in the mind, in the heart, in the feelings, in the body, to be as fully present with their consciousness, with their soul as possible. And I would agree. I think this is really the path of finding real love. So I hope that helps shed some light on things. As I said at the beginning of this video, I'm going to grab the camera now, show the spectacular view outside. Check it out. So that is Jaisalmer Fort, a hundreds of years old fort that has been here in the desert of India and is now a popular tourist destination. My guest house is in the middle of that fort. I get some spectacular views from there. Looking back at the Thar Desert, I can see obviously this building right here from the top of my hotel. And there's a nice spot over there for watching the sunset. That's the town of Jaisalmer off there. And then I'm here at this cool temple-like thing. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's in the typical Indian style. Very beautiful. So there you go, a little taste of traveling in India. Thanks for watching. Take care.